We've had a confirmation from the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky. He said that a group of around 100 civilians, they have evacuated the steelworks plant and they're currently on their way to Ukrainian-controlled territory. Now, remember, this comes after several failed attempts in the past. So there were times when humanitarian corridors were established. The people were asked to assemble at a certain point, and at the very last moment, they were told that because of Russian shelling, the evacuation could not take place. So finally, it has started. This group of 100 have moved to Ukrainian-controlled territory, and the Russians are saying that there are another around 50 or so people who have moved to territory that is under the control of the Russians. But remember that there are still many more civilians who are trapped underneath. Now, the authorities are saying they're trying to speed up this process, but we don't know at this point in time as to how long this could take. Well, I think some Ukrainian officials would tell us that this is because they are constantly sending reinforcements from across the border from Donbass into Russia. That's where they're saying that there is a constant reinforcement of the Russian forces. Also, they're going to tell us about the air support that Russia is providing. Also, Russia is heavily utilizing cruise missiles to provide support to its ground forces. Now, we are witnessing considerable Russian gains in some areas. So, for example, in Donbass, there have been some villages that the Russians have captured, but I think one of the neglected areas has been the south of Ukraine. So, for example, if you look at Kherson, this is where Russians have installed a Russian administration, and they've announced that they're going to be transitioning from the Ukrainian currency to the Russian currency. Also, if you move to the west of Kherson, around Odessa, this is where the Russians are saying they have inflicted considerable damage on the Ukrainian military. They've targeted storage facilities, they've targeted a runway, they've targeted two S-300 air defense systems of Ukraine. And it just seems that Russians are basically all set to continue their advance until they've connected the Donbass region all the way to Odessa and then beyond. And the desperate conditions they're facing. For example, as far as the food stuff is concerned, he says that they have stock that's likely to last less than a week now. They've also talked about the continuous bombardment by the Russians. He said that the Russians are not just shelling, but they're using strategic bombers to target not just Mariupol, but also the steel plant, where Moscow has been claiming that it is basically giving safe passage to the civilians and they can leave. Also, the commander, he's called on the need for international intervention. I asked him what sort of intervention he was referring to, and he said it could be military, political, in every sense. He's saying that the situation there, especially with the civilians, is such that they are basically considering all options. And regarding the evacuation process, again, he said that evacuations have not been happening. There have been attempts made to evacuate the civilians, but the humanitarian corridor has not been functional because of Russian shelling. There are a number of other allegations as well. For example, he said that the Russians have been forcefully shifting some civilians from Mariupol across the border into Russia. Russia, of course, says that these people have decided to go to Russia voluntarily, and it was their decision. So we have these conflicting reports. He also talked about the role Turkey has played. He said that Turkey's role has been very positive, and he said that perhaps Turkey could secure some sort of guarantees for this humanitarian corridor to be functional. But the situation overall, a very sort of desperate picture that he's painted.